the whole house just shook.
Pat Trader tells us a seconds-long boom woke up her husband Monday morning.
I thought it was maybe thunder or something.
You hear about earthquakes happening out in California, and to actually experience it yourself here in New England was kind of wow.
The quake, centered in the Warner and Hopkinton area, was felt across central New Hampshire, as this U.S. Geological Survey map shows. It registered a 2.9 magnitude. Minor for these disturbances, with no significant damage reported, but plenty for scientists to study.
There are seismologists who think that they have found faults in the subsurface in that central New Hampshire region, and there are seismologists who question that. So that's kind of the forefront of the research.
And the quake was the talk of the town in Warner.
You could feel the rumble, you could feel the vibration, and you could hear it.
It was almost like somebody hit the building, is kind of what I thought. A little shake, and I was like, wow.
And many of the towns that felt this quake also got some snow Monday. Several people commenting to us that, boy, this certainly made for a strange start to spring.
In Cocoa Beach, it looks almost as if you could walk across the thick carpet of dead fish filling some canal.
And yesterday we told you that this is brown tide is being blamed.
It's the worst I've ever seen it, and I've been in here since 1970.
And that's not just because there are so many dead fish. It's also because the dying is so widespread. A fish kill normally covers a small area, a pinpoint on the map, but so many dead fish that for 4 days now they've piled up in drifts and rafts along Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, and Merritt Island.
All of Sykes Creek, all of Banana River, all of Newfound Harbor. 30 square miles of dead fish. You're not cleaning 30 square miles of dead fish up.
Well, a strange scene on the street of an Elmira neighborhood has some searching for an explanation tonight.
Upon observing the unsettling scene of dozens of deceased animals right outside of his family home on Davis Street, a very concerned Ryan contacted authorities and now patiently waits for the answers to his questions. On Saturday, Ryan Kyleman observed just one dead bird on his lawn between the curb and the road on Davis Street in Elmira. And thinking nothing of it, he went about his day when his mother contacted him with some concern.
My mother, she had stopped by when she was leaving. She called me and said, hey, you need to come outside. And I went out and she's like, do you see all of these? And originally I counted 21, but then I ended up double counting. There was 25 dead birds.
Now the local director of environmental health is taking the next steps to learn more. Right now the cause of the animal deaths remains unclear.
It's a disaster waiting to happen. Officials say a massive landslide could swallow a central Washington state neighborhood at any moment. Residents in the Whispering Ridge neighborhood in Chelan County have been asked to evacuate. Experts say the land is so unstable it could give way without warning. Record rainfall has the ground more saturated than it's been in decades, and recent storms and snowmelt aren't helping things. Water and power to the neighborhood have been turned off. 2 homes have already been deemed too dangerous to live in.
A powerful storm is moving across nearly the entire stretch of the country, dumping heavy snow, spawning tornadoes and violent hail, winds even whipping fires. A wild convergence of weather events, all from the same giant system.
And the system stretches from the Central Plains to the Midwest. Severe weather threatens more than 57 million Americans.
Spring on hold for much of the country as a massive storm wreaks havoc across the plains, the Midwest, and the South. Powerful hail roared through Dallas.
Oh my God.
Blowing out windows and damaging cars. Colorado digging out from a record spring snowfall. 17 inches in just 36 hours, stranding some motorists for more than 7 hours. The winds from the same system fueling fires in Oklahoma and Kansas, burning an area 8 times the size of Manhattan.
Holy.
In between strikes of lightning, it was impossible to miss the tornadic storms that barreled through northern Texas.
This fell in about 1 minute. Never seen anything like it in my life.
Look at the water. It's coming up toward the house. Oh my gosh.
Pounding rain and winds topping 45 miles per hour knocked out power to more than 5,000 people.
A massive land sinking happened in a county in East China's Shandong province on Sunday, triggering a tremor equivalent to an earthquake of 3.1 Richter scale.
Pavlof Volcano in Alaska began erupting Sunday afternoon, sending ash spurting 20,000 feet into the sky.
There's a layer of ash up to an inch thick covering everything in town.
The USGS Alaska Volcano Observatory said this is the largest eruption of the Pavlof volcano in 20 years.
Falling out of the sky. On Friday, we showed you about that car that was hit by a huge chunk of ice, and experts are still trying to figure out where it came from.
Yeah, officials say it might be from an airplane, but as Fox 43's Chris Hoffman reports, it might just be an act of nature.
Your college professor, Dr. Bill Krieger, is going to examine the ice chunk that ripped through this Kia in Cumberland County.
Because people usually just pass it off as from an airplane, and it could be.
And it could be from nature. In the atmosphere, scientists believe chunks of ice can run into each other at high speeds and form these bigger chunks, also known as megakryometeors.
A farmer in South China's Guangxi Autonomous Region suffered heavy losses after a sinkhole appeared in his fish pond. The incident occurred in Guiping City at about 4 a.m. on March 24th, when water levels at a pond were seen falling at a dramatic rate. At around 9 a.m., the pond almost completely drained, and what's left of the water in the pond was flowing down a gaping hole.
Elsewhere, rescuers were battling on Monday to reach thousands of people stranded by floods and landslides in Pakistan and Kashmir. At least 53 people were killed and 60 injured as heavy rains caused landslides. The worst hit area was Shenhua district in northern Pakistan, where 14 deaths were reported.
Around 150 homes were destroyed, roads were ruined, and communication infrastructure was damaged.
Next to the weather tonight, record lows from Baltimore all the way up through New England. Rochester, New York, setting a record low of 14. Icy trees there along Lake Ontario, but also wind advisories in parts of this country tonight. Red flag warnings in 20 states, fueling wildfires in Oklahoma,
where firefighters are still battling the largest fire in state history.
Take a look at this. A storm-chasing couple rescuing a man from the flames just in time.
This is the moment Jason Perks, driving that giant road grader, is overcome by giant flames.
There's a road grader that's getting stuck over here, trying to get out of the ditch.
Perks, digging a fire break to help stop this Oklahoma wildfire, is suddenly trapped.
He needs to get out.
I know he needs to get out.
He can't get out. Come on, guy, get out.
With Oklahoma City station KWTV, roll up just in time.
Get in, hurry up, hurry up. Thank you, guys. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what just happened. You would not believe what just happened.
A mystery is unfolding in Shasta County. Hundreds of birds are found dead along Interstate 5. A wildlife biologist says this is highly unusual.
It's very odd.
Jim Wigan is perplexed.
I've studied wildlife my whole life. Never seen this. Never seen this.
The wildlife biologist is trying to unlock a mystery. That mystery lies in the form of dozens of dead birds, all gathered within a 200-yard radius in the northbound lanes of I-5, on the side of the road and in the grass,
just south of the Mountain Gate exit in Shasta County.
The majority of them are right in this area.
Only one or two across the center divide.
On the other side of the road, there's almost nothing. That's another unusual thing.
Weigand drives this stretch of road all the time. A graduate of UC Berkeley, he's written numerous stories about birds.
I don't see any signs of trauma, disease. They're all in one tight location.
As he picks up carcasses he plans to have examined, he wonders what could have done this.
They were all hit by a semi and a big group was crossing the roads. These guys look in perfect condition. Where's the busted up, smashed bodies? Where are the cripples around over here? Birds with broken wings can travel for miles.
Many articles have been written about the phenomenon, just like this one, all over the country. Starlings are considered a pest. They have been poisoned in the past. Weigand doesn't believe that's what happened here.
These guys would be scattered all over the place. They wouldn't all be right here. If these guys were shot with a gun, you know, they would be going in all different directions.
Nor does he believe they were sick.
If it was an avian disease, why would all the bodies be in one place? When birds are sick, it takes them a long time to die. This is a sudden event.
Chile's government has temporarily banned the consumption of sardines in the south of the country after millions of dead fish turned up floating along the shores of the Cailo River. At the weekend, the authorities began clearing the shorelines. Experts are still investigating the cause of death and any possible risk to human health.
A rare dust storm near Portia, Arkansas caused multiple car accidents on Sunday, injuring 11 people and killing 1. As many as 12 vehicles were involved in the crash on Highway 63, including an ambulance. Visibility was virtually zero during the storm.
You can barely see the road.
Dramatic pictures coming in at this hour of a dangerous and powerful storm. Parents huddling with their children as hail exploded through the windows. The ominous clouds rolling in over Wiley, Texas, unleashing giant hail. Coming down with such force, you could see it bouncing off the ground there, blowing out the windows of this house, shattering car windows. And it was terrifying for the families caught in it.
Terrifying storms, lasting up to softball-sized hail. Families running for cover outside Dallas.
Get in there. Find the cat.
Donna Ruth Cole getting her son to safety as giant hailstones shatter windows.
Almost 150 homes battered by the larger than normal hail. These storms had unusually strong updrafts, building the hail in the clouds for longer, some reaching the size of softballs before they were heavy enough to fall, leaving a wave of destruction.
Since January, there have been 188 hailstorms across Texas, compared to 82 last year. 30 of this year's storms have produced hail 2 inches or larger.
Heavy rain in Yemen has been blamed for the collapse of the Runa Dam. At least 16 people were killed in separate flooding in Omran and Hajjah, northwest of the capital Sana'a.
Flash floods in Saudi Arabia have taken people by surprise. 18 people have been killed during heavy rains and floods across the country. Unprecedented heavy downpours struck the mostly dry country this week and led to suspension of public transport and school closures.
The Pacific Tsunami Warning Centre has now downgraded its tsunami warning, saying that the threat from a 6.9 magnitude earthquake near the Vanuatu Islands has now mostly passed.
An earthquake measuring 6.6 on the Richter scale has shaken parts of Pakistan, Afghanistan and India. At least 6 people have reportedly been killed and 46 wounded here in Pakistan. Residents left their homes in Islamabad and Kabul when the tremor struck. Buildings swayed for more than a minute in both capitals.
At least 20 homes were destroyed.
The epicenter was near Ashkama of northeastern Afghanistan's Pakistan province. Strong tremors were also felt in the Afghan capital Kabul and India's capital New Delhi and some areas in Kashmir.
রাহুল একটু থামিয়ে যাচ্ছি ভূমিকম্পের বিরতি নয় বেশ বেশ ভালো ভূমিকম্প
A strong earthquake shook Myanmar. It had a magnitude of 7.0. The quake was also felt in China, India, Bangladesh, and Nepal.
In Bangladesh, stampedes triggered by the earthquake injured scores of people, and officials in northeastern India have shut down thermal power stations as a precautionary measure. In the nation's capital, New Delhi, people evacuated high-rise buildings to gather in safety out on the street.
At least 2 people are said to have lost their lives and more than 70 have been injured in Assam due to this earthquake.
We begin with the deadly earthquake and that warning tonight that more powerful aftershocks could be coming. The 6.2 quake striking after dark in Japan, and then several violent tremors followed.
It was followed by a 5.7 magnitude quake 30 minutes later.
Sending walls crashing down, emergency teams right there running to find those trapped.
A cluster of aftershocks, man's camera rolling as one hits. Those windows shaking and people screaming, sending thousands into the streets.
At least 9 people have been killed, over 900 injured.
Good evening, and we begin tonight with the terrible scene playing out in Japan at this hour. The second earthquake, and tonight many there have been buried alive.
Earthquake, magnitude above 7, strong enough to damage most buildings within miles of the epicenter. It came just 24 hours after a strong 6.2 quake in southern Japan flattened many structures and set others on fire. As you can see, this part of an elevated highway has collapsed.
Tonight, more than 44,000 people have evacuated, 1,600 soldiers deployed. More than 100 aftershocks have rattled the region, these people afraid to go inside.
Elsewhere in a town near to the coast, a whole neighbourhood burned out of control. At least one person is thought to have died here.
These 27 people are known to have died in the quakes, and scores are thought to be trapped under collapsed buildings.
Japanese media reports that power was cut for around 200,000 homes in the area. And it's not just power outages. The damage covered collapsed bridges, split roads, and grounded flights.
These are the biggest quakes to have hit Kumamoto in nearly 100 years.
The 7.0 earthquake is now the main shock. Everything before it was a foreshock.
A small eruption occurred at Mount Aso in southern Japan, with smoke rising about 100 meters high.
That is a rare tornado you were looking at that touched down Friday evening in Uruguay. Now, this is a small town of Dolores, and this tornado was responsible for killing at least 4, but injuring 200 people. Now, this system doesn't frequently happen here, and they certainly do not have the wherewithal of buildings to handle it like we do, or warning systems. And this tornado was devastating, as you can see from these pictures. Debris flying catered to many of those injuries, but look how those structures got pretty much demolished with this.
A powerful magnitude 7.8 earthquake has struck off the coast of Ecuador.
The evidence of the sheer power of this earthquake. At least one person was killed when this bridge in Guayaquil collapsed. Rescue teams fear there may be more victims.
Experts say the risk of a tsunami has now mostly passed. Images from the scene, however, show widespread damage. This road bridge collapsed in Guayaquil, 300 kilometers away from the epicenter of the quake. Bystanders helped emergency workers pull a crushed car from under the fallen structure.
This is the most powerful earthquake to hit Ecuador in decades. And if the country's coast was the hardest hit, the panic spread much further. Images have emerged of homes and shopping centres badly damaged. Dams and oil pipelines were shut down as a precaution. Power and water supplies have been affected. Patients were evacuated from a hospital. The sense of confusion not helped by all this happening at night. The shaking even felt 100 miles away in the capital, Quito.
Death toll from the magnitude 7.8 quake has rocketed to at least 233.
This is the moment Ecuador is shaken by a massive earthquake.